So, welcome back to another episode of the Sino-American lens. We have no upload schedule, it's completely random. But, today I'm back again with William after 2 months? I don't know, a long time. And we're here to discuss Trump's inauguration and what he's done since then. And, how he's been trumping, basically. So, welcome back, William.
Yeah, glad to be back. Excited to have another conversation with Austin. A lot's happened since the last time I've talked to him, and would love to have a discussion about it today.
Woo, conversation. Okay, so I have a few questions, and I'm basically going to ask you, and then from there we can freestyle it like we always do. So, let's just get started. Let's not waste any more time. So, I guess, the main thing with Trump right now is that, has he been a surprise to you? Or, and if he has been a big surprise to you, what's the biggest surprise? And do you think it's going to be good, bad? Is he suddenly going to be, a normal president, or is he going to be Trump? What's your take on Trump right now?
I feel like he's been pretty surprising, but
yes.
The biggest surprise is probably, when you say normal president, I feel like he's already thrown that out the window.
Of course.
He's definitely doing things his own way. I think he set, a record or he's continuing to set the record for, number of executive orders for the amount of time he's been in office. And I don't see it slowing down anytime too soon, but it'll probably definitely slow down a few months into the administration, but I think we'll keep seeing a lot of these big changes in a lot of different policy areas for the next month or two to come. And then, a lot. It's pretty big. A lot of things that we could touch on, is how he's trying to ignore the judicial court, or not ignore the judicial, but he's definitely putting pressure on them, or how the amount of power he's been giving Elon Musk and Doge, or his cabinet members and their Senate hearings. Everything has been pretty. I feel like every day has been a new headline so far.
Yeah, he's been trumping. I would say, especially in the recent weeks. It's been really crazy with, of course, the Gulf of America being a thing now, and how close or how kind of distant he is away from the Fed, and how from there it's kind of been, especially for companies and their stocks, and how investors have been kind of viewing 2025 as a year as a whole. One of the main things they've seemed to look at is Trump and how surprising and how volatile he might be in the past or in the coming months or so. And it's just been really funny to see how people are reacting to his decisions. For example, the tariffs. They were going to be a massive thing, 20% to Canada and also Mexico, maybe 10%. I'm not sure, I forgot. And then Mexico was what if we gave you, or what if we helped you with your immigration problem? And Trump was basically said sure, and then gave them a month to do so. And then same thing for Canada. It's he's following his plan to a T, and it's kind of not what we expect, but it's we understand this is what he does, and he will follow on his, I guess, promises and orders and policies in a way in which he seems fit. But it's always surprising. He's not going to be, like you said before, a normal president. He's kind of thrown out the window. He's going to make decisions, and he's going to try to shape the country and America as a whole in the way he sees as best. And I think one of the things you touched on is Elon. Elon wasn't elected as a cabinet member or an advisor to Trump or anything. So it's, especially with him being, having so much influence, having so much wealth, it's a very awkward place to be, where it seems that Trump is kind of pushing the Fed a lot, and it feels kind of weird, where of course, in previous years with the presidents, of course, every member has been elected in some shape or form, but with such like wealthy people, with people that haven't been elected, it feels like it's a different landscape and it kind of shapes America in a different way than previously before, which could be good, could be bad, we'll never know.
Yeah. No, definitely a lot of stuff going on right now. What do you think is the biggest thing that stood? What do you think is do you think you could pick one thing that stood out? I feel like I have a hard time picking.
I mean, like, I think the funniest thing is the Gulf of like America. that's something that like everyone's bullying him for, which honestly is like kind of deserved. No offense, it's a name. I don't know why it's suddenly Gulf of America now, but hey, that's a thing. But yeah, I would definitely say how much he's pushing against like, I would say democracy itself. I wouldn't say like he's like completely against it, but there's certain aspects where it's like, oh, Elon's there, and suddenly he's kind of not really, enforcing the checks and balances of a traditional U.S. government, and it feels like he's pushing for his ideologies, which are all expected, but in a way that's so forward and so like rapid. It's been a really big surprise in how much action he's taken in the past month, 2 months. Like it's been like a month since he was inaugurated. It's been crazy. So yeah, crazy stuff. Trump.
Yes, very crazy. I think we could probably spend like 20 minutes just listing every crazy thing that's happened in the last 3 weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay, moving on to something, I guess, a bit more fun. What do you think is like the most interesting deal, especially with like international countries, that he's like kind of made and tried to work out regards to economy, political stuff, just anything in general?
I don't know if interesting is the right word to put it, but I guess interesting can definitely be used to describe the situation, is his stance on Gaza, where he's, just throwing in a completely new playbook on it that nobody had even considered before that, right? He says Gaza will be America's now. And then he also said that, once we're going to end the war and then Gaza will be America's, and then we're going to rebuild it and then make it something really great. And then all the Palestinians can move to Jordan and Egypt. And I think that's definitely been probably the craziest thing he said, or at least it's like one of the newer things he said.
Yeah.
Because he keeps saying crazy things every week, and then, the ones from past weeks, you kind of forget about them, or they get drowned out by the newer ones. But yeah, I'd say his stance on Gaza is pretty crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what more to say about that. It's of course, the thing with Gaza and like kind of the Middle East as a whole, it's been pretty chaotic. But yeah, I feel like his take on it is just, it's very Trump. And I think that, I think his ideals seem to, he's completely on board with who he is, and he's completely, invested in that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, the war in Gaza, it's pretty tragic, both parties having their own faults, but yeah, I feel like Trump jumping on it is kind of weird, because he really didn't have to. Nobody was saying America should intervene, severely. It was just, yeah, it was pretty surprising to me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the whole thing kind of shows his general attitude towards, politics a little bit, or how he is as a deal maker.
Yeah.
Because I remember after he made the comments, I saw an interview with him, or a reporter was asking him, Jordan and Egypt have told everybody multiple times they're not interested in taking in the Palestinians, and then Trump was just, his response was, they've told other people no, but they won't tell me no.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's I think he just met with the King of Jordan yesterday or the day before, and then the response is still no, but he's still just he's not going to tell me no.
Yeah. go woo Trump. Trump is trumping, I guess. It's been the
Mhm.
pretty recurrent theme of the past 3 weeks. And
Yep.
speaking of crazy decisions, how much of this do you think will continue? Like right now, it's like every other day something crazy happens, and the entirety of America is like, what the hell just happened? But do you think he'll continue to do this for like the rest of his term, or like how much do you think of it will like slow down, and how much will he sort of like come back to earth and kind of push his main ideals and main policies forward instead of doing this?
I feel like I honestly have no idea. I feel like it's impossible to imagine this going on for 4 straight years.
Yes.
Just off the top of my head, I feel maybe like just 6 more months, or like within half a year, and then the rest will just be like these decisions in this first quarter year or first half year of his presidency, like playing out in courts, and then also slowly seeing like the impact on it with the people, and then who knows, he might even get impeached within a few months, but probably not. But yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, I feel like at some point, like, he's gonna run out of material. Like, there's no way you can consistently make like staggering statements and make headlines every week for what it seems like for the next 4 years. Like, there's not enough material for you to do that as a president. So I feel like it will definitely slow down. I think he's kind of showcasing what he wants to do right now, and how his actions, or how he wants to plan things in a way like this, basically. But I feel like this seems to be like the most abrasive, or like the most kind of, I guess, aggressive is a word, where to like other things and other policies, where especially in his first term, he seemed to be restricted a bit more. Then again, of course, his start is kind of different, but he seemed to be more restricted and seemed to, be kind of a traditional president and listen to the judicial court and like the Congress and Senate more. Where now he just seems to be a person who like has his people, and he's gonna listen to them, and he's gonna go off their decisions. I feel like it's not a bad thing, or it's not like a good thing, but it's just very surprising, at least to me, with how much effort he's put into this. So yeah, I don't think it'll continue, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, I remember hearing a lot of commentators say he's just using these first few weeks, first few months to see what he can get away with, so he can kind of change his playbook for the rest of the 4 years.
Yeah. That sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess moving on. Here's like a bit of a weird question, but it's only been 3 weeks. But do you think he's making like real progress in any of his policies or promises that he like initially talked about in his campaign?
Yeah, I think he's definitely making some progress, and pretty quick progress. When you think of it, you don't see many presidents making this much progress in their agendas this early on, I feel like. But whether that progress is good or bad is another discussion, or good or bad for America is another discussion. But, areas like immigration, he's already got, ICE has already been detaining more and more people in like Chicago, I think I saw, and probably all over the country as well. And then also in terms of things like, what else was there? Blanking a little bit. So immigration, and then also, he, officially said only 2 genders in America. I think he made that official. He's also getting a lot of the, he is reducing government spending like he said he would. Whether or not he's reducing them in the appropriate areas or the best areas is another topic. But, Musk and Doge have definitely been, I feel like efficient, and
Yes.
Trump has been efficient in reacting to their reports or their findings. With U.S. aid getting on the or getting shut down, and then also with the announcement that if you're a federal employee, you can just leave your job, or we'll give you severance if you decide to leave now, and then so getting rid of the federal workforce with so many people in it, kind of like how Musk did with Twitter, because he said, we don't need this many people working on this. It's very inefficient use of manpower and inefficient use of money. So he's been trimming those hedges too. And like you mentioned with the Mexico deal earlier too, Mexico said they're going to patrol their border as well, and help crack down on illegal immigrants coming up as well. And then and then with illegal immigrants, it's like not just detaining but also deporting. You see the news with the planes getting rejected, or you see the news of the planes sending immigrants back to their countries. But yeah, I would say that his policies have been rather effective and efficient so far.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think he's taken strides and he's taken initiative, especially early on with what he promised. Now, is it a bit over the top, of course, but I feel like just having this, I guess, urgency, I guess that's the word there, but kind of this, want in a way to, kind of keep his promise and keep his policy where, yeah, where immigration, cutting costs, involvement in, other nations and, for example, Gaza. I think it's pretty clear that he, is going to shape or change America in his vision, in his, ideal world. So, yeah. Is it initiative? Is it progress? Yes. Is it progress moving forward or backward? I don't know. But in Trump, we trust, I guess. Okay, so...
Yeah, well, we're stuck with it.
Yeah.
Who knows? It could be good. It could also be bad. I feel like I see so many sides to everything every day. It's hard to figure out what the actual truth is right now, but I guess it'll play out and we'll see.
Yeah, the future's the future for a reason. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
So here's the next question. Along the lines of this, currently, how much do you like the new campaign, the new party, compared to 2020's Biden and Harris thing?
What was that? How much do I like the campaign?
How much do you like this new party compared to last year's Biden-Harris party?
This new party, I feel like I know more about it just because it's been a lot more controversial. With the cabinet members and stuff. I don't think I can name many people in Harris's campaign. Probably just Blinken plus Biden plus Harris in the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
But just with the cabinet confirmation hearings, you already know the names of pretty much everybody with their secretary, with what's her name, I'm blanking out, RFK Jr.
Oh, yeah.
Or the young guy they have for the head of the Secretary of Defense. And, I guess it puts a bigger microscope on everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On everything they do, since they're more public facing now, since it's a bigger deal. Or since they've been in the news more than Biden's cabinet was. And also, with Trump, and also with Musk and owning Twitter, and Musk being a part of the administration in some way as well. But yeah, I feel like JD Vance. A lot of people like him.
Yes.
He might be, and a lot of the criticism with Harris was that she didn't do much with her vice presidency, even though Democrats would argue that she actually did a lot. But it's contentious, and
Yeah.
then so I think Vance will try to do more to make it so it's not contentious, that everybody has to admit that he did a lot, as opposed to with Harris, where there was an argument otherwise.
Okay, for in Harris's defense, there's not a lot you can do being a vice president, and you have to solve the entire problem of immigration with like limited budget. It's like $1 trillion industry with so much trafficking, so much illegal immigration. There's not much you can realistically do being one person. Then of course, like, with that being said, like, it still feels like she did, like, there was more she could have done. But like, I'm just saying, Harris wasn't totally like just kind of useless that period. She did a lot. I guess I'm kind of favoring the Democrats here, where she tried her best. She did a lot. It's a really hard problem to solve in like 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think she did plenty. She had border policies too and things like that. But just the other side really honed in on the fact, or on the idea, that she didn't do that much. I feel like, given that Vance will probably try to do even more, just so he is not seen in the same, or just so there's no argument to be had, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah.
For him.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I feel like it seemed like the logical next step for Vance, as he's gonna, like, I personally, like, love him as, like, a political speaker. I don't know, he gives, like, Reagan vibes in a way, but it's like, I don't know how to describe it, but I just love him as a figure and, like, a potential head of the Trump party. And it's been great seeing him talk and trying to see him take initiative with projects so far. I would feel like, I would think that he would try to make it seem like he does more, because it's not really that high of a bar. Like I said before, the problem with immigration is insane, and having one person solve that is kind of crazy to even think about. But yeah, I feel like, especially in the next 4 years with so much time, I think he'll be able to kind of stamp his name in history in a way where he, like, actually, like, seems like one of the better vice presidents and one of the more impactful vice presidents we've seen in a long time. So, yeah, that's kind of hope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honestly, I don't even know what issue he's going to focus on. Because I feel like Trump is handling immigration himself. A lot.
To be fair, it seems like he's handling everything, so we'll see what happens.
So maybe at the end of these 4 years, the same criticism will be, a lot of people are going to criticize Vance for not doing much either.
Or just Trump, suddenly the economy just dies and it's all on Vance's fault, because we expect Trump to be Trump. I don't know, but I like the person. I love him as a speaker. Hopefully he reshapes America in a better form, in a great way for the next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I guess next question. It's a kind of a weird one. Do you think Trump, like, dismantling the DEI thing is a good or bad thing for equality?
Dismantling DEI for equality. Well, I feel like, my opinion on DEI is that it wasn't done right at the beginning. I feel like the concept is a good one, but I think in terms of, like, government position and stuff, maybe it shouldn't be involved in DEI. But I feel like the conversation gets really muddled with a lot of, like, bad faith arguments or bad faith arguing when they talk about DEI, right? Like with I think most recently the big thing was DEI in the FAA, Federal Airway Administration or something, with the planes and stuff. And then, I think people were, like, right after that tragic plane crash, right, Trump and his entire advance, plus Hegseth, and all these people in their cabinet went on a long speech, gave a speech about, we're going to have the best people in there now, the DEI is gone, right? But I think at the same time, it's like, the people, like, DEI doesn't mean that they're doing it at the consequence of capability.
Yeah, exactly.
Like people who were getting hired in these roles still passed the same tests, still had, oftentimes the same or even more experience and things like that. But at the same time, and then on the other hand, people argue that these things, like getting rid of DEI or firing people because they were DEI hirings, makes it so that it's a lot like departments and places are undermanned. And I think that's something people pointed out with the tragic plane crash. Like they didn't have enough of the control tower people. And there was like one person doing the job of two people. But I feel like DEI is like a pretty complicated conversation, but I think as long as it's not lowering the boundaries for entry, then I think, whether or not it was in place, like it being in place would definitely be a positive, right? But, I don't even know what's real with all the news these days, because the Republicans will definitely say that it definitely was impacting the quality of hires, while others might point to how, no actual qualifications were actually lowered in the process. But yeah, it's hard to know what the truth is.
Yeah, so like me being 14, like I've never had a job before. So like I don't understand like the intricacies of like how much DI actually matters in terms of like corporations. But like in my opinion, I've never understood the concept of like DI hires because one like the things that America seems to promote is equality, and everyone is treated the same, and they're judged based on their capabilities rather than something like race. So like DI hires, like I guess it's kind of like it just never felt right to me. It just feels like not that it's unnecessary, because there's been news articles, there's been previous stories of bad acts, I guess. But I feel like if Trump dismantles DEI and still like everyone gets hired, there's no I guess racism, or if anything like that kind of happens, I feel like this is a massive win just for promoting equality, and it just makes the culture, makes the overall environment just much more beneficial, or much more like better in a way. But maybe I'm wrong here, but like I feel like if this works, or if in a perfect scenario, getting rid of like DEI hires, or like that sort of concept, it just feels like a massive win if it works. But if it doesn't work, of course, it's just going to be lots of unions. But yeah, I think sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
I think with DI, I don't think it's the most necessary in like corporate or job arena, but it was like part of the argument for it at the time was that companies would just rather hire the white person over a different ethnicity, and because of like inbuilt, or some people would say like systemic racism and things like that. And then I think there have been like some small studies where companies are given two exact same copies of a resume, and then one resume has just like a classic white name on top, and the other resume has like maybe like a name that would be perceived as like an African American name or something. And then many companies ended up just always like picking the white name over the black name.
I mean,
in these studies. But at the same time, that was years ago. It might not be the same situation now. But I think the important thing is like the E in DEI is like equity, which is like equalness and opportunity, or not just, or equality of opportunity. And then I think the right likes to conflate equity with the equality of outcome, which just isn't what it is. Nobody's trying to guarantee outcomes, but they're just trying to give everybody the same chance at opportunity. And same with like DEI also affects women too. Like sometimes, you know, you could be very qualified, right, for a job as a woman. Like for example, like you could be applying for like a security job, and you could have like a bunch of training or background and things like that. But just the fact that you're a woman, people might not think you're capable of it. And then I think DEI is there to make sure they get a fair shot at those types of jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're going a bit off topic, but fuck it. Don't know if I can swear. It's fine. This is what we do. Like I feel like the thing with DEI, like it just like what I've said before. I feel like racism at its core, like everyone has bias, right? That's like the main thing, and like you're gonna be biased towards, like it's impossible to like not be at all racist, because racism is just bias in a form that shouldn't exist. It's like a principally, and it's a wrong way of viewing people, but it's still a way because we're born with people, you know, similar skin color, so obviously, you know, more experience and more personal connections there. With Trump like knocking DEI off, I feel like, to me at least, it just like DEI shouldn't be a thing. I understand like the problems with systematic racism and like how certain names and certain things can impact a resume or like an application, but I feel like, I guess in a perfect world, that shouldn't be a problem. I understand that that's not really realistic, and that might cause, I don't know, crazy or like unemployment spikes in colored people or other ethnicity. But for now, I'm hopeful. I'm extremely hopeful. I hope that with this change, that, I don't know, somehow America becomes a lot more equal in terms of in terms of like opportunities for different colored people. And I feel like, yeah, personally, I think it's a good thing. If it works out, he's a genius. If it doesn't work out, that's just America at its core, people at its core's faults. And if it doesn't work out, it could have drastic problems with the economy. But for now, I feel like I really like the idea of this change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, you know, it's a complicated issue. We'll see how it plays out. And like I said, I feel like with the jobs, DEI in the job market is, I think, less important. But academia is like another conversation we can have some other time.
Yeah, this could be a great next episode or something, whatever. Future's weird. Yeah, I think on that note, I think we should end it, right? It was great talking to you again. It's great to finally have another podcast episode with you after such a long time. And yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on again. You know, it's great to return to the podcast. Hope everything's going well.
You too.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you. And yeah, that's it. Woo.